no longer comes from new information. It comes from greater and greater emotional commitment. And that's a fragile foundation. Another critical point that gets overlooked is sustainability. Markets can trend, but they cannot move vertically forever. Every time an asset goes into a parabolic phase, it creates imbalance. Liquidity thins out. Late buyers pile in. Early buyers start thinking about protecting gains. And eventually, even a small shift in sentiment can trigger sharp pullbacks. This doesn't require a catastrophe. It only requires exhaustion. We've seen this exact setup countless times across different asset classes. When people start saying this time is different, that's usually not a signal of strength. It's a signal of complacency. Silver is behaving right now the way many assets behave near local extremes. Conviction is high, caution is low, and corrections are being dismissed as impossible. That mindset never ends well. What makes silver particularly important in this discussion is what it represents. It's a risk-off asset. People move into it when they want protection, not explosive growth. That's fine, until the protection trade becomes crowded. Once that happens, the question shifts from how do I protect capital to where can I grow it next? And that's where rotation begins. Capital rotation is not random. It follows a logic. Investors typically move from cash to safety, from safety to growth, and from growth to speculation. Silver and gold sit early in that chain. Technology and digital assets sit later. When fear peaks and begins to stabilize, capital naturally looks up the risk curve. Not all at once, but deliberately. Another mistake people make is assuming this rotation only happens after crashes. That's not true. Often it begins while prices are still high, just no longer accelerating. That's why tops are usually processes, not events. Distribution happens quietly, volatility increases, confidence starts to fracture beneath the surface, even while headlines remain bullish. This is why watching behavior matters more than watching price. Search interest, positioning, sentiment, and narrative saturation tell you more about where an asset is in its cycle than a single green candle ever will. And by those measures, silver is no longer early. No. Again, this does not mean silver collapses tomorrow. It means the risk-reward balance is changing. And when that balance shifts, smart capital starts preparing for the next move and not reacting after it happens. So if silver is moving from a fear trade into a crowded trade, the logical question becomes, where does capital go when fear starts giving way to opportunity? Historically, that answer has pointed toward growth, innovation, and liquidity-sensitive assets. And that's exactly where the conversation starts to move away from precious metals and toward technology and eventually toward digital assets. In the move forward, we're going to step back and look at history because this pattern isn't new. It's repeated itself more times than most people are willing to admit. And once you see it laid out clearly, it becomes very hard to ignore. Now let's move forward and look at history.